And thank you so much for staying with us as we continue to tell your story. Now, the presidency has recently put together a presidential gender-based violence steering committee. The committee is, of course, in response to the demands that were made during a total shutdown march last year on femicide and violence against women and children. The committee is now finalizing a draft on the declaration of gender-based violence, which will be signed and launched by President Cyril Ramphosa on the 28th of this month. We are now joined via Skype by one of the newly elected members of the steering committee, Dr. Lesley Ann Foster. Dr. Foster, good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us here on SA Today.
Good afternoon to you and to listeners, and thank you for having me.
Now, this is, of course, a very crucial and vital committee, one can say, more so because many South African women and children have experienced violence. So talk to us about how the presidency came up with this idea of this steering committee.
Well, the main campaign had a list of 24 demands that were made to the presidency as to how we as civil society consider using, the state should respond to violence against women. And it is out of those demands that the idea for the National Council came.
How will the committee, as you say, tie in with perhaps the resolutions and the recommendations that were taken and made during the agenda-based summit that was held towards the end of last year?
Well, those recommendations are now contained within a declaration that the presidency wanted done in response to those. And that declaration is now being finalized by the committee, and it will be launched by the presidency on the 28th of March. So all the recommendations and the concerns have already been taken up by the president, and we are very grateful for that. And they will be formally adopted as part of government's work on the 28th of March.
Really, so many concerns that were raised by the victims of gender-based violence on the summit itself and the march, of course, that had taken place before the actual summit. More so on how the victims are treated by the law enforcement authorities when they go report such cases of violence, gender-based violence. So the question here is, how will the committee look into that particular issue and address it?
One of the great initiatives of the committee was to establish a rapid response unit. And the rapid response unit is provincially based and will take up issues that are referred to them immediately. So this is a very great response to, ensuring that all state agents actually adhere to the due diligence that is required of them when they are taking on cases of rape, sexual violence, or femicide. So I think that this initiative, having this rapid response unit, having it provincially connected, is a very, very important initiative. So the people, that are going to be responsible for that are also committee members. So it's a subcommittee of the committee, and they will have a database to be able to refer people and also to follow up on police action or action of any of the criminal justice system elements, and also Department of Health and Social Development. So all in all, the committee is trying to develop a multi-sectoral response to violence against women. And there are very clear indications that this is coming together nicely. It is being put together in a way so that it is cohesive and it is comprehensive, and that it can respond very rapidly to cases that are reported to them.
You have cases that are reported, so that database will be able to be put up. But the question is, you also have some victims who do not bother to report their perpetrators, mainly because they say they get arrested today and then released the next day. This surely means that they had lost hope in the justice system itself. So how will the committee work together with the justice system, the police and the courts to ensure that at the end of the day the case are solved adequately?
Well, I think some of the initiatives that they are on the go is looking at an audit of the current victim empowerment program and the victim empowerment, facilities, so that we can make them more victim-friendly and more accessible to victims. That's the one thing. We are also touting a prevention program, a prevention strategy that will help, both to prevent violence, but also to prevent better support to people who become victims of violence against women. Look, all of what we are doing now is putting the building blocks and the foundations for improved state responses and civil society responses. It's not going to be a silver bullet that's going to answer all the problems immediately. We are building and working towards that. What is important is we have clear and strong political commitment. That is absolutely crucial to having a really strong state response. The second is the National Council is a very powerful body. We've never had this before. And these are historical steps that have been taken, to respond to this. There are very few countries that have such comprehensive responses. And we are saying that we are going to lead the way in terms of putting together a comprehensive response to violence against women, starting from the political commitment. The other problem, of course, is resources. And already we have adequate resources that have been put aside by the presidency to make all of this happen. The fact that we had the first National Gender Summit on Gender-Based Violence and Femicide, that's historical. And it was well-resourced. It was, it was well, participation was very good. So all of those things are very positive steps. And I think that we need to recognize that this is a very positive movement. The chair of this committee is Dr. Olive Shishana, and she's really committed, and she's a seasoned activist in this field. So I think that, there are very positive elements here, positive outcomes from this committee that is very, very exciting. And I think once the National Council is in place, it's going to be even stronger and better than what it is at the moment. We have only a 6-month period in which to get the council up and running. So the fact that there are timelines also says a lot about the commitment and the impetus that this initiative has.
All right, we'll be keeping a very close eye on the work of this committee. Thank you so much. Many thanks there to Dr. Lesley Ann Foster. She is one of the newly elected members of the steering committee appointed by the presidency to look into the issue of gender-based violence here in the country. Peter?